T-Bad and Brandon.
Yeah, you guys just started your own podcast.
We did. We're not that great with it, like in terms of being consistent. We're still getting onto that. There's Izzy.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Oh, she's got a sick accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just started and we're like, yeah, we're going to do it once a week. And then a week went by and we're like, oh man, a week is not enough time.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, podcast. We found that out very quick how hard podcasting was. We're just very lucky that we have a lot smarter people than us, a lot more smarter people than us, do all like the audio and video stuff.
Who does that for you?
No, show your face.
Jump in the video. This guy.
This guy, right?
He's coming.
He's coming. This is awkward delay. So we started this podcast and then we were like, Niall does our audio and another client of mine, Jason, does our video. And I've been training him for like 6 months at the time. And he's like, I'm an audio engineer. Like, just ask me questions. And I'm like, how the fuck don't I know this? Why haven't you told me earlier? So he does all that stuff and shit we don't understand, and then upgraded all our equipment. And
Yeah,
which was pretty much his equipment anyway.
Yeah, so we have his equipment. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's
And then thanks to them, we can actually pump out once a week and
Twice a week.
we're doing twice a week now. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Twice a week. Wow.
It's been really
That's
good.
commitment.
I'm ashamed.
Well, we just like, with everything, COVID, we were just like, fuck, let's try and get them out twice a week now and get a bit more reach, and
Yeah.
especially while everyone's at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The random people.
Yeah, we're just lucky enough to know a lot of interesting people like yourselves,
Yes.
which is a really good segue to introduce our guests. We don't do segues that often, and when we get them, we're actually really excited about it. So we have powerlifting royalty joining us today. We have Alex Deken, and an all-time Australian record holder.
Whoa.
Yeah, as a 90 kilo, if I'm correct.
It was 90 kilo, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. What are you weighing now, dude? You look real thick.
Yeah, heavier than that.
Not 90.
I was, going into what was supposed to be pro raw, I was 104.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But when I was 90, I was actually like 96. So
Good. Oh, big weight cut.
That's a big 90.
That's a big 90.
Damn.
But yeah, so Alex, welcome. And then please forgive me if I get your name wrong. And from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously not joining us all the way from Sweden, but Isabella von Weissenberg.
That is almost very good.
Almost. Oh, damn. How do you pronounce it? Sorry.
Von Weissenberg.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You would never.
I would have never gotten even close to that.
I would have got none of that.
No, you're not allowed
It's
to.
like the V. It's not von, it's von.
Fon. Oh.
That's cool.
And how are your Swedish lessons going, Alex?
good, excellent, I would say. Well, the ones I'm doing on my own where I don't have the pressure of a tutor feel really good. And I had my first one with a tutor because I felt like my reading was really good. Like I was starting to read some of the posts by like Izzy's friends or her sponsors or whoever. And I was like getting really pumped. But then I try and like actually say it out loud, and just the flow and the melody was just really off. So I booked a session with a tutor the other night, and I fucking died. Yeah, so I just, I was like, it was so uncomfortable because this guy just like spoke Swedish the whole time unless he really had to say something in English. So he was just really pulling it out of me.
Wow.
So
just throwing you in the deep end. Bloody hell. All right, well, we always kick off with a very important question. So what it is you guys have, and we'll do it separately. Alex, you can go first. 21 words. That's all you get. We count all sounds, anything that comes out of your mouth, who you are and what you do, and go.
I'm a competitive powerlifter and coach. I'm an advocate for mindfulness, and I'm from Melbourne.
You got 17, you got
Got a few left, bro.
4 words if you want.
Okay.
Well, you just used them.
Say I have a dog named Ellie. That's 5. Fuck. All right. I was
That
terrible.
was pretty good. No, look. No, if you want to go back, go watch Luke Poley's episode, and you'll understand what bad at this game is. Way better. Now, Isabel, do you prefer Izzy or?
Izzy.
Yeah, sweet. Izzy, 21 words. Who you are, what you do. Go.
Swedish competitive IPF powerlifter in the 72 category.
You're at 8.
Strength online powerlifting strength coach and personal trainer.
That's 17. You got 4 to go.
4 to go. Home stretch.
Creative, mindful expat traveler.
Perfect. Alex,
Oh, that was so good. I'm so glad I went
It's a good one. Alex.
finish strong. I like that. That's awesome. You guys have well, Alex, you did okay at that. Izzy, you smashed it.
As a team,
As a team, collectively, you're probably
Izzy
the
carried the
best.
team.
Yeah, Izzy carried the team. Now, between you guys, I think Izzy mistaked 7. Was it 7 world records?
Yes, correct.
Wow, already.
Damn.
I know. And 4-time medalist at the IPF
Yes.
World Champs.
Yes. Also correct.
Yes.
Damn.
I did my research. I'm pretty proud.
Biggest total?
Biggest total 528 kilos last June at Worlds in Sweden.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
That's a whole year ago. It's crazy. It's June now. I felt like it was last month.
Yeah, a lot of the videos from last year, like people are getting all nostalgic and posting them up at the moment. So
Yeah. I know. 'Cause we were at Nationals this time last year as well, Alex. You competed at Nationals last year?
I did. Yeah. That's when I did my biggest total by 2.5 kilos. Yeah. I was actually. Sorry.
Oh, what was the breakdown of that?
3 27.5 squats, I think a 210 bench, and a 3 22.5 deadlift, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, that's right. You went up to the 110s.
Last minute. So I think I weighed like 100.5.
Wow. What was the reason behind going up?
I had so Pat was going to do the hundreds, but then at the last minute I found out that he'd pulled out.
Yep.
And then I saw like Nathan Jones and Daniel Blanford were in the category above. And so I just drank like a liter of water and weighed in heavier.
So you wanted to compete with some absolute challenge was the plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
And no like disrespect to 100 kilo class or anything, but it was just, I knew that it was going to be more of a challenge and I thought I'd take it on.
That's unreal because too many people you think would out there would shy away from that, would think, oh, no, sweet, free pass in the hundreds, I'll take that gold medal, let's go. But you were like, no, let's put it on the line.
I'm actually not too mad you did that though, because my client took out the 100 kilo class. So thank you. It was actually it worked out well. Yeah. Brock ended up winning the 100 kilo class.
Sick. What did he total?
He went 800, so I was really happy that Alex went up. I was like, this is great. Here we go. And did you win, Alex?
No, I came second. Daniel Blanford won.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he went 900 for the first time. So it's like huge 355 kilo deadlift on the last pull and
Yeah.
watched it.
Because he had a few injuries and was out for a couple of years, unfortunately, and he's come back real strong. I remember
he won Pro Raw 8 or something, I think.
I think it was 8. Yeah.
And then like got totally fucked up basically after that with some sort of injury.
Yep. It was fucking insane to see him come back. I competed with him last year. Last year at New South Wales States, and it was his like first comp back, and he went ridiculous. And then Nationals 900. It was just insane, absolutely insane.
That's kind of cool.
I know, right? It's just.
So how'd you two meet?
It's really the question everyone wants to know. Everyone.
I wandered in because I just wanted to train. Alex was the first person I met at PTC South Melbourne.
Oh, that's a
Well,
good
the
face to
owner-
meet first up.
What's that?
That's a good face to meet first up. It's very handsome.
The first face was the cute dog Charlie, the staffers. He couldn't compete with that. No. But yeah, the gym owner, Andrew, was probably the first person. Actually, he was like, "Yeah, that's $25 casual," and I'm just like, "Andrew, can I see you in the office for a minute?" He just pulled Andrew, and he's like, "That is Isabella from Weissenberg."
Like at my phone with Instagram, I'm like, "That's her," and then he comes back out and he's like,
The card machine is broken.
"We'll worry about payment at the end."
That was funny. I was oblivious to that happening, but we started hanging out, and yeah, he must have just fallen in love with me because he asked me out on a date. It was weird.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah, so Izzy was here with her colleague Jim, and then I ended up just sort of like taking him around, and then eventually, managed to get rid of Jim, and yeah, we spent some time together, and then from there it was just constantly figuring out how it was going to work, because Izzy was still had some seminars to do in like New Zealand, Dubai, so she was sort of leaving, coming back. So you're on like 3 different tourist visas in a row or something, weren't you?
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, of course. Because you were doing seminars, Dubai, New Zealand, and was there another? Oh, here.
Sydney.
I was like, of course.
Where are you guys?
We're in, yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say Queensland, but Brisbane's in Queensland.
yeah.
So,
It's correct, in Queensland.
sorry. It's been a long day. But how long have you been doing all the seminars for?
So I went to compete in Calgary 2018 for Worlds in June, and which I didn't, but I went there anyway. And straight after that, I just started traveling and did not stop until I landed in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So
You went everywhere.
Yeah, it was not. Is it a year? Nah. Well, it was less than a year ago, something like that.
I think you said it was something like 9 months or something, but you went to like Dominican Republic and like all these different places, yeah.
Yeah. I figured, okay, so nothing's holding me down in Gothenburg, where I used to live, and I'll just make the seminars sort of finance me traveling to anywhere possible. And I made sure that, okay, so we can book in these gyms here. So that'd be along like the American West Coast, for example. So made sure that it all fit with like a seminar schedule. So I went to all these places, like where there were enough power lifters to get like around 15, 20 people per gym to finance the excruciating Airbnb costs rent at the time.
Damn. And then you met Alex and you're like, okay.
Free rent. Woohoo.
There we go.
Oh, that's great. Did you know she was coming, Alex?
I think I saw a post, but I didn't think much of it. Like I was like, yeah, like who cares? And it wasn't until she was in the gym that I started to care. So I was like, yeah.
That was actually really
I came to the seminar.
Yeah, I came to the seminar the next day.
Yeah, you did.
Straight on the link.
Yeah.
Ticket. Buy now.
Slide in the DMs.
How do I get through this? And have you always enjoyed like educating and helping people, Izzy? Like with the seminar stuff?
Like a combination of, yes, I do enjoy the part where you get to help people and talk about what I am passionate about, but it's a huge challenge for me to do anything in public. I just get extremely anxious, and I saw it as a little bit of a let's just make something happen with my personal development and force feed myself with these opportunities. Just traveling in itself was extremely scary. I don't think I traveled much at all before doing all of that. So it was like I need to get out of my shell and just put myself here, and it was very hard, but I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, you got that free rent sorted, so definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
I was rolling Melbourne, really.
And how many countries have you visited now, Izzy?
I don't know. That would take time to figure out. I wrote it down a while back because I did a post about it. I think 60, not sure. But 60? It was like 28 last 2 years ago. It was like 28 in 1 year.
Wow, that's cool. 28 countries in 1 year.
Something like that. I might say this wrong, but it was around there.
Well, I've been to 3 countries my whole life, so I'm going to sit in my corner over here. Damn. Yeah.
Well, I will go to hell for what I've done to the environment, so you are the good one between the two of us.
Oh, that's too good.
Where did training start for you guys? Like in the weights room? What got you guys, obviously you got your own different stories on how you got there, but what got you guys into a gym to start with?
For me, it was because when I was 15 in year 9, I was just sick of being overweight. And my dad used to have the opposite problem. He got picked on for being too skinny. So he just gave me his routine, which was like 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups.
Yes.
And so I just did that and I got like really obsessed with it. And then mum was like, oh, we should probably get you into a gym. And it just sort of like steamrolled from there. So I started powerlifting in 2013 when I was 21. Started with PTC headquarters.
Yep.
And just sort of built from there.
Because you started out your powerlifting career, if I'm not mistaken, as a 110 lifter.
No, I was actually 84 kilos when I started.
That's very different. I got that completely wrong.
So I built up, I went like 90, 100, 110. So I was 110 by early 2015. And then I sort of trickled my way back down again to 90, and now I'm on my way back up to 110 again. So, yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
Because you broke the 90s record, obviously the all-time Australian record. Was that not last year, the year before?
It was in 2017.
2017 at PCAQ HQ. I think it was with a 345 deadlift, if I'm not mistaken.
325. So it was 845 total.
That's right. Wow, that was huge. I remember seeing that. Has that been broken since?
Yeah, so Pat took it. He went 870, and then Nationals the year after, I was on 857, and I took my last deadlift to go 872 and a half, but I missed it. So I did have a crack to try and take it back, but it was too much.
Damn, that's awesome. Does that rivalry push you to become better and better? Well, I wouldn't say rivalry. Like I'm sure you like the guy, but
yeah. It's like people sort of like put me against Pat, and I like in my head I'm sort of like, I don't think I ever thought I was going to stick around in the 90 kilo class. So in my head it was always like yeah, he's someone I would definitely love to compete against and to beat eventually, but I always thought of myself as like a future 100, 110 lifter. So it was just sort of I don't know. I wasn't really ever thinking that was like the end goal.
Yep. I would like to, from my own perspective, and I'm sure Johnny would agree, that we would like to see you in the 125s.
Oh, the 125s. Oh my God, it'd be absolute.
Can you imagine like you're a pretty lean bloke. I've seen you without a shirt off, and I'm pretty jealous of Izzy right now. So I'd love to see you at 125. Like that's a lot of Alex to love.
Yes.
I think.
He doesn't mind. We're going.
Yeah, we're going. It's there.
I've got to get to 110 first. So let's play.
Yeah, let's get small goals for the big goal. Isn't that how they say?
140. That's it.
140.
Locked in.
Can you imagine how strong?
140 and 5'9".
Oh, that's a combination of jackness that I'd love to see.
That'd be amazing.
It would be amazing.
That'd be a whole lot of sleep apnea.
That's right. You get a machine.
Yeah, they got machines for that now, man.
No problems. We'll do 10,000 steps today or something. I don't know. We'll be right. We'll be healthy.
So what about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
10 minutes. What about yourself, Izzy? What brought you? How did you find powerlifting?
So I was 23 when I started lifting in 2013. I'm a little bit older than Alex. And I had been working, just a job that I really was not enjoying very much. But it was the sort of lifestyle where you work, Monday to Friday, and then you go party to sort of forget that you hate Monday to Friday. So, like typical early 20s lifestyle, I guess, for a lot of people.
Yep. I was gonna say, I know that lifestyle very well.
So I was doing that for a while, and my sister, who's always been a very active person, she's like, you need endorphins. You don't need to party and drink alcohol. That is not what is going to be good for you. So, because in winter in Sweden, it gets incredibly dark. So the context of this conversation that I had with her is that it's like January and I'm just like feeling really shit. Because essentially you won't see the sunlight for 6 months if you work in a factory because they don't have windows.
Oh, wow.
And Sweden is like we have 3 hours of sun per day if there is sun at all. So I was like, I don't feel good.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it gets pretty bleak. You would know. You were there in December.
Yeah, we got there at like lunchtime. By the time we were like home, which was like an hour drive or something, it was like around 1 p.m. The sun was coming down and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
That's insane. Especially the contrast to Melbourne during December.
Yeah.
Where obviously daylight savings and the sun's still up at like 7 p.m.
Yeah. But like even today in June here, like it's, what is it? It's 4:20. It's gorgeous out, like you just don't get that in Sweden. So yeah, I was like, I don't feel good. And she told me that I needed to start exercising. I was like, okay, fine. I'll come with you to the gym. And it just escalated very, very quickly. I got really obsessed with lifting very quickly after that. I met a PT who showed me squat, bench, and deadlift. It was
just snowballed from there. Just snowballed from there.
Yeah.
That's so good. Did you ever, at what point did you go, I'm going to compete in powerlifting and become a world champ?
Well, so I started lifting weights, lifting a barbell in March 2013. And by June that year, I got 140 kilos in the deadlift.
Oh, wow.
So I got strong very, very quickly. And 130 kilos in the squat and at 60 kilos body weight. So obviously my beginner strength was just straight up. And the personal trainer was a bikini fitness athlete. She's like, I can't spot you. You need to go somewhere else. And in Sweden, to compete in powerlifting, you need to be part of a powerlifting club to get a license for that. So if there are gyms that are specifically powerlifting that you have to join to be allowed to compete. So I went and found one that was close in my area, and they were like, oh my gosh, you have to compete, you have to do this. And I got all kinds of support. And that I just started thinking very big, very, very early. It consumed me.
So you're always thinking worlds straight off the bat?
At that point, it was probably nationals. Yep. And then, a year later, I was at Worlds.
Just 1 year later.
Just 1 year later.
Most people are still doing novice comps a year and a half into their powerlifting.
It did go very fast, but I don't necessarily think that was a positive thing because I got really overwhelmed by it. By the time I was at Worlds, I had immense performance anxiety and felt tons and tons of pressure. And obviously you don't know anything about powerlifting after a year of lifting. Mm-hmm. But if you're also strong, it gets confusing because I thought I had to have a good understanding, and I thought I always had to talk about it as if I was an expert, but I wasn't, and I just got really stressed, and it wasn't very fun actually. My first year of competing internationally. So.
And how did you begin to identify those, performance anxiety issues and then start to work through them?
Well, identifying it wasn't very hard. I got really stressed during my training sessions. I wanted to quit. I would start crying because I felt all this pressure to lift really heavy all the time. I broke my rib and then I broke another rib while I squatted. So obviously I was going way too heavy, just in pain. And it was pretty intense. And then I started seeing a cognitive behavioral therapist who helped me with like mindfulness techniques and with my breathing pattern that I had because of the stress.
Yep.
And then I learned how to use mental imagery. So I got a little bit more control over my mindset. And then it was just like this point where I got to where I was thinking to myself, well, if I don't enjoy this, there's absolutely no point. And I think I just like shook free of that feeling of this, I'm doing this for everybody else, because it just like hit me so hard that it has to be for me and no one else. And that was a bit of a game changer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, your first comp after sort of realising that must have felt amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, being nervous took some time to deal with. I think my first comp that felt amazing was not until 2018 when I went to the Arnolds. That was when I realized that competing is actually fun. It took me 4 years to get there, but you know.
Did you find that once you started to really, you know, deal with anxiety around it, your total also just started to come right up as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And I felt that it was a difference as well, that I didn't feel, I got to the deadlift and I didn't feel as tired by the deadlift. It was like, I can keep going. I'm still like, I want to compete again straight away. And I just had more energy after the comps because I wasn't like draining myself trying to get there.
You weren't wasting so much energy being nervous and anxious, but you could just sit back and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And Alex, you said mindfulness is something that's important to you as well, bro?
Yeah, for sure. So the reason that I got into mindfulness is because I had a lot of social anxiety just growing up, especially in school, like high school, and then like even going to uni. I never finished any degree. I started 3 different degrees, like obviously at separate times, and just never continued with them because I just couldn't be in class, and I couldn't, because you were just so on your own in uni and then having to make friends. It was just a bit too much. But I actually met a psychotherapist who was actually a lecturer for us at the time in the last course I did, or started. And I reached out to him probably like a year after. And so he's like an NLP practitioner as well, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And so I learned a bit of that like in our sessions, and then he sort of helped me with like a mindfulness practice as well, like in the form of meditation and just being more mindful in the fact of, or in the sense of, like let's say you feel like a negative emotion about something, being present enough to sort of catch yourself, seeing where that comes from, and then maybe looking at, 2 or 3 other different perspectives to sort of, 2 or 3 other different ways that you could sort of look at that situation to point out that, you're choosing your own reality, So if you're feeling upset about something, you don't necessarily have to be. So that was definitely part of like my mindfulness process as well.
Because what I really love tuning in for is, your Mindfulness Mondays, and you're sharing that now with so many other people, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Like talking about your social anxiety is something that I can relate to very, very strongly, and being mindful is something that is not talked about enough, and especially within, I believe, the powerlifting, that strength coaching world circle. And so to see what you're doing now, man, like it's really, really cool to tune in every Monday and see the videos that you're making. And have you had much feedback from that? Have you had people reach out? And because like I know for me, listening to them, I'm like, fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah. I get people reaching out. I get a lot of people reaching out like after a certain amount of time. They're like, I watched this video like 2 months ago, and since then I've implemented, some like a strategy or something. It's only once they've sort of seen the results, I guess. But yeah, that's really encouraging. I do find it like a little bit like if I don't really have something to talk about, I probably won't post. So I'm not as consistent as I'd like. But it does mean when I do post that I am being really genuine, because I'm, either experiencing something related to that at the time, or it just like I'm feeling passionate about it. So
absolutely. Like you can always tell from the videos, they are always genuine. You're always honest and very true to yourself with it. And I believe that comes from having to deal with your own, once you go through your own, I guess, challenges, so to speak, and learning all these techniques, you can see things from that different perspective. And it's really cool to see, and really cool to see what you're doing, man. it must be a really good feeling when those people do messages and say, you know, oh, this has changed in my life. And just from watching, like, you know, 4-minute video or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good because I think when, like, if someone, like especially a guy, sees a guy that, you know, they might admire for like strength reasons or whatever, see them open up about something or at least show some vulnerability, it's like giving them permission to do it. And I think that's what feels good. It's like, okay, I've
100%.
sort of, they feel like they can do that now.
That's another brilliant segue. I just want to shout out to Alex for giving the segue. But the power of vulnerability is fucking huge. Like being able to be honest with yourself firstly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, as you said, giving permission for, especially again in this industry, when men, like we look at other men in this and we idolize them for their strength on the platform, but it takes a different type of strength and absolute character to talk about, you know, the hardship, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something you incorporate with your coaching with your clients you work with as well?
Yeah. I don't have any like a framework or anything like that. I'd love to do that actually, because I think some people just work a little bit better with that. But definitely just through just like talking to them and interacting with them for sure. Yeah, that's something I definitely incorporate into my coaching.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and how'd you? Because good segue, by the way.
Yeah, like
we're on track with segues today.
Yes, that's great.
About your coaching now, because you're both very top level coaches as well, or I guess I don't know, elite coaches.
Yeah.
Or I guess I would class you guys as that. You know, two very experienced, very knowledgeable, both as coaches, but also on platform time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where did coaching start?
You're like, thanks for all the compliments, guys.
Where did coaching start for you guys? Was it an immediate transition? You're training, you're doing it heaps yourself. Fuck, hang on, working in a gym just makes sense. Or all of a sudden people saw what you're doing and they're like, show me what you're doing. I want to learn.
I got dragged into it by a girl who wanted me to coach her, and she was like, please, please, please. And I was like, I don't know anything. Making a huge mistake. He was like, no, I want you to coach me. And I'm very thankful for that. So I got to I didn't pretend that I knew a lot, but I just sort of, okay, we'll see what happens if we do this. And things started happening, and it just started with that one girl and built on. And
that's so sick.
Yeah, I got a lot of mentorship from my coach, Mike Tushirer, and learned a lot from him.
Yep.
And then he ended up hiring me, which is like, why? Always my first thought, why? But it's been really, really, really great to work with him and RTS and all the knowledge coming from there. So that sort of solidified a little bit my confidence in the coaching world.
That's awesome. And who do you look to now for like upskilling, education, and you know?
I mean, it's obviously still Mike and the team that I work with. On a personal level, I'm turning my focus is more and more towards psychology. So like getting my bachelor in psychology starting this year, just upskilling on different levels of communication and motivational interviewing and meditation and understanding mindfulness on a more scientific level.
Yep.
So that's how I am expanding and upskilling at the moment.
That's awesome.
I feel like that's giving me the most with my clients as well.
Absolutely. And what about yourself, Alex? How'd you get into it? And same questions as Izzy, pretty much. So.
Yeah. So I was actually working as a carer in a childcare center, and I was moving in.
You did that?
Yeah. So did I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy. People are always so surprised.
Yeah. They're literally like, who gave you a blue card? I'm like, the guy.
Yeah, so then I was moving in. So that was in the outer suburbs, and then I moved into the city. And I was like, I should I'm a powerlifter, so I should probably get my personal training certificate and then start, just give it a go. Just try and get a job somewhere. So I did that, and then when I moved into the city, PTC South Melbourne had just opened 2 months before. So I started training there, and then it just started naturally happening because I didn't have like a head coach or anyone working there. So I just sort of fell into it that way. I probably more became a coach so that I could live the lifestyle of an athlete. So it was like to supplement my own training. But whereas now I probably think more about my coaching and like how I'm interacting with my lifters and the results of my lifters rather than my own performance. Like I still have massive goals of my own, like as an athlete, but coaching is probably the primary focus now.
And where do you draw on for inspiration and education for yourself, bro?
For me, because I don't have like a background in human movement or exercise science or anything, something I get a little bit insecure about sometimes is not necessarily like having the language around it. So at the moment, Melbourne Strength Culture, actually, I'm going to do their coaching development program. Things like Jamie and the guys there have some really good information. Content.
Jamie Smith.
Yeah.
And
then probably just like Jordan Shallow, people like that.
Absolutely. I finished up his pre-script level. Oh, no, I didn't. Finish that up last year, didn't I?
You've done that a bit.
Yeah, sorry. Everything just seems like it's one. Because you were, Alex, you were coached by Chad Wesley Smith for a while there, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I was, for about a year. Or 2 years, actually.
Gee, that's a lot.
What was it like working with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, the programming was like really, really good. It was a different, so I'm coached by Mike Teixeira now. It was a different just like approach to programming and then to just coaching in general. Like Mike, it's a lot more, like I get to talk to him a lot more. We get on calls. Like a couple of nights ago, we spent an hour talking, like writing a program together. So it's just a bit more hands-on. So yeah, but I learned a lot from both. Like I base my programming off the 7 scientific principles of strength training, and I learned a lot off Chad.
That's awesome. And now I think we spoke, because you switched coaches just before GPC Nats last year, and I remember talking to you about the concept of that Mike's got you on with your deloads, kind of changed that up a bit for you.
With the pivot weeks and the emerging strategies.
Yeah.
I mean, Izzy's probably a little bit more qualified to talk about pivot weeks than I am, but yeah, it like just from my perspective, that was very, very different. So, because a deload with Chad would be the intensity be reduced a bit, the volume would be reduced like a reasonable amount, but the exercises weren't any different. So it was basically just like the same exercises you would have done throughout the block, but just at a lower intensity and lower volume. Whereas with Mike, the whole program changes into something else. So it's sort of Izzy can probably help me out here. In terms of
He's like, Izzy, take the reins.
That's our fourth segue.
Well done, Alex.
Right. Well, it's the purpose with switching it up like that is to desensitize yourself to the stimulus.
Yep.
Especially like from microcycle to microcycle. So say that I program a training week for you. We're just going to repeat that until you peak on that same protocol that you do Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, for example. And once you've peaked, like obviously you have stopped responding to that stimulus. We don't want to repeat that and do more of that because you just did exactly how much you needed to with that. That came out a bit weird. You did that to the limit.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, you've gotten to your peak. You're probably pretty fatigued and probably pretty sick of this program because you've done it for weeks on end. And we'll give you a pivot, which will be a good opportunity to train other muscle groups that you normally don't train in a powerlifting program. Do more like GPP work, circuit training, and focus a little bit on that stuff that we normally don't prioritize, but also make sure that the movements are as different as possible from the strength development block without being too non-specific. So say that instead of your competition squat, we'll do a high bar squat. And if you're a conventional puller, we'll do some sumos this week. So you still get like the compound movements in, but they will be slightly different. so that once we get you on a new development block, it will be like a clean slate.
Wow.
It'll feel like really difficult, like way more difficult than like a regular deload. But the overall stress is lower, right?
It depends from individual to individual what they need, obviously. But I would say, like generally, say just an arbitrary number, say that your stress level on your development program is, say, 20. If we put a number on it, I'll give you half of that on the pivot.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
That's actually really cool. And then how did you respond, or what was your, I guess, thoughts around it, Alex, from an athlete perspective, from making the big switch?
The first time was a little bit difficult because so when Izzy said that you'll get things like high bar, for me in the first block, and I think it's pretty common to get this, it'll be high bar for sets of 10 up to a 7 and then an 8 RPE, followed by a 5-3-0 tempo, so 5 count eccentric, 3 count pause in the bottom, for sets of 5 up to like an 8 or a 9.
Wow.
So like fucking hard. Like, and then you got to go and do like 2 more exercises. So I went really hard on that when I was already wrecked from the block. So I probably just didn't understand it as well and went too hard into the pivot.
Puked in a bucket.
Yeah.
Oh!
I filmed it.
Yes. Can you send us that video if you still have it? We can put that in the YouTube.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming because I had my pivot 1 week earlier and I did sets of 10. And I was like, oh, this is so hard. And I got no validation whatsoever from Alex. And I knew that he was ready to mic. And I was like, I'll be prepared with the camera when he starts.
She had the inside scoop, bro. She knew it was coming. I love that. We'll definitely need that video.
So that it sort of carried on to the next block a little bit, which was So it was a good learning curve. So I have a better understanding of the role of the pivot block now. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a very different, I guess, concept that, as you said before, we see a lot of deloading weeks, but I remember talking to you about that pivot week and it sounded so great. And now to hear Izzy's side of it with a bit more of the science behind it, it's really, really interesting. That's awesome. Is that something you both incorporate now with your coaching?
Yeah. I program only with emerging strategies unless someone specifically asks me to do something else for them.
Yep. And Alex, yourself, have you started to incorporate that now?
I've tried it with a couple of people, but I stopped because my understanding isn't that great. So I'm probably going to end up doing the classrooms on the RTS website just so I sort of know exactly like the ins and outs of it. So at the moment I'm still using deloads and
yeah, absolutely.
It does get a bit harder if you don't have a way to track your clients' data over time. Like say I have a client and I run 1 or 2 blocks with them. I don't really know anything from that, but once we've run say 10 blocks, that's a whole lot of information, but there's no way I'm going to keep track of that, especially if you have like 30, 40 athletes.
Yep,
so working with the system that helps you pull out the information that you get from the blocks makes, I think emerging strategies makes a lot more sense if you also have the ability to like see what's going on a more bigger level.
Actually collect that data.
Yeah. I know you can do that without a huge system, but if you don't have any way of tracking your client's data, it's going to get a bit messy, I think, after a while.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, little bit change the subject, but I was just looking at a pretty cool post you put up before with a big squat there, Mr. Alex, and I saw a nice little number written down there with a 4 in front of it, saying that you've overcome some mental breaks and you feel like that number is a number that you can hit. When can we see that?
Well, it's very dependent on like how I get back into training after the break, because leading up to that 370 squat, I was constantly nursing a hip injury. Oof. And if I had been able to continue to squat, but like sort of back things off, I think it would have been okay. But because I didn't squat for 6 weeks afterwards until like we got some squat stands, and I just lost that skill. And then so when I went up to like just 200, which I thought wouldn't be a problem, it started to flare up again. So yeah, I've just got to. We're just taking it slow at the moment, but
Yep.
hopefully not too long.
Yeah, cool.
I also may have been the same post. I don't know, but I also saw another post where the end goal is to be the lightest person to total 1,000.
Yeah, that was a separate post, but they're my two goals. So
I feel like we just admitted to stalking you guys a lot, checking you guys your Instagram, trying to slide into the DMs.
Yeah. I definitely think that I'm capable of that 1,000, and the 400 squat is going to sort of have to happen if I'm doing that. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's cool. And what are you working towards at the moment for your own training there, Izzy? What's on the cards with this? I guess this crazy COVID world makes it a bit weird for competing and stuff, but
yeah, I mean, today I did some snatch grip Romanian deadlifts with 40 kilos. I was pretty happy with that. Cramp and had to stop and couldn't train anymore. So I'm doing good. I'm very strong right now.
Obviously you can't really know, but you guys want to get back on the platform as soon as possible, or are you just happy to wait it out and just see where everything lands after all this bullshit?
Nah, I'm probably taking a longer break, even if some Worlds was scheduled for October for my Fed. So if it was going to happen, I would probably decline a spot, just a longer break, and get a little bit different flow in training.
Absolutely.
Big fan of not just pushing it all the time for the sake of it. But
yep. And yourself, Alex?
I've been really enjoying just the lack of pressure to be strong that's come with the lockdown. So I think that's just sort of, although I have those goals, I think I'm happy to take my time getting there. So I think as soon as I feel ready, I'll pick a comp, but yeah, nothing in mind at the moment.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we touched on a little bit at the start, if it was recorded, I think it was. But the two of you started a podcast.
We did.
Where'd the idea of that come from? Is that something you've always wanted to do, or?
How did we come up with that?
I think we were just really bored in lockdown, and we were
Yeah.
we should.
And we have a Zoom.
And then what should we call it? We're like Alex and Izzy's podcast. Yeah, that's good.
It's so creative.
Between the both of you, you guys have so much knowledge and experience. I was like, this is going to be sick.
Yeah.
Loving it.
I think we intentionally wanted it to be about not powerlifting so that we could just sit and talk about our feelings.
Yeah, it's basically just like a fortnightly check-in with ourselves that everyone else can listen to. Because we're in lockdown and we're like, fuck, we're just having these ripper conversations. We need to record them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that too, especially I think the more and more podcast world comes out, people are just wanting to hear the chat and pretty much exactly what you just said, your feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
That's more interesting. I think there's so much to be learned from just listening, especially to two very intelligent, highly emotionally intelligent people as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
What's it like working together now on something like that?
Oh, sorry.
Well, our scheduling could probably be better because we're a bit like, do you want to do the podcast today? And we're like, oh, actually, I got to be on, or I'm not feeling up to it, or I haven't thought about it.
That's not a schedule thing.
Huh?
That's not a schedule thing.
Well, yeah, because we haven't scheduled it.
Oh, you mean
It's a lack of scheduling.
Whereas, it's a lack of scheduling. So last week, we're like, all right, Wednesdays, 10 a.m., rain, hail, or shine, we're going to do it. So we're just going to have to be ready.
That's awesome.
Sick. We'll be putting a link up for that then.
Yeah, we'll throw up a link and to link to your podcast and both your Instagrams, and we'll do that whole thing at the end where you shout out your own Instagrams and where people can find you. But before that, before we start to wrap it up, we have the 10 most important questions you'll ever be asked in your life.
Are you ready? We're going to go
it's rapid fire.
Turn for turn.
Going by what happened at the start, I'm not sure I'm ready, but anyway.
Who would like to go first?
It's Izzy first this time.
Yeah.
We decided.
First. Biggest lesson you have learned, Izzy?
in my life?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Any way you like.
Any lesson.
Any lesson.
The biggest lesson that I've learned is that, I guess the biggest lesson that I've learned is that, so I have learned so much in my life.
I just want to quickly interject.
I think
Everyone just needs to watch the YouTube right now and see the size of Alex's arm in the background during that. Then, see, imagine what that looked like at 125.
I'll just try and buy you some time.
What's your lesson, Izzy?
I want to say you win or you learn.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I think more recently I've learned that vulnerability is an incredible strength. So I have those two. That's two lessons.
Take that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Alex, pressure on. That was a good answer.
Yeah.
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that you choose your own reality. So back to what I was talking about before, like with the different perspectives. I think that's what's made the biggest difference for me and my mental health and just dealing with different situations. Like, if someone, says something about you or something like that, knowing that it's a projection of themselves and not necessarily yourself. And I think that's just liberated me a bit.
That's awesome. They were great answers.
They were amazing answers. Izzy, if you could live underwater, would you live underwater?
I'm scared of deep water, so I would not.
That's a no. Yep. And that means it's a no for Alex.
Yeah. Well, I back that as well. I'm also scared of deep water. So
There are creatures down there.
who would like it? It's terrifying.
What's your biggest challenge, Izzy?
Perfectionism and procrastination. Same reason while I do both.
Alex?
Probably expressing myself in the form of like public speaking but basically what we're doing now. Like I find this very nerve-wracking. That's probably the other reason we started, or one of my reasons for starting the podcast, because it's something I want to get better at. And, but yeah, I find it very, very, very challenging.
Cool.
Very good.
I paced a lot before this podcast.
I was going to just give you a comment. I was like, man, you're really this is good. Like you're just naturally flowing with it. But behind the scenes, you're tapping your foot going, when's it going to end?
He keeps looking at me because I keep scratching my leg out of a nervous twitch. So
luckily the Zoom camera is focused on your head, so we can't see that.
Now, this next question is providing a lot of argument around the question. It's heated. A lot of debate, in fact. And it's a couple of questions within the question. Is cereal a soup? And if it is a soup, why is it a soup? And if it isn't, why is it not a soup?
It's not a soup.
It's not a soup.
Thank you.
But why is it not a soup?
Because it's not cooked.
Ooh. You can have a cold soup, though. You never had a cold soup?
Yeah, but you still got to cook that.
Why?
Well, how do you make soup? You got to cook it.
Why?
Oh. I'm with you, Izzy.
But that's fine. That's a great answer. Alex?
Yeah. What she said.
The amount of people that piggyback off their first person's question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fully with you guys. I agree. It's not a fucking soup. There's no vegetables in it.
You've never had a soup without vegetables?
Yes, I've never had a soup without vegetables.
I'll make you one. What conspiracy theory do you think is real, Izzy?
Isn't it by default a conspiracy? If it's a conspiracy theory.
Ooh. That's a
semantics, maybe.
Yeah, that one blew my mind. Alex, you got to back that up.
Aliens?
Yeah. Is that a conspiracy theory that they'd exist? Does that count?
I don't think.
They have to exist.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Bam. Now, would you join a cult, Izzy?
No. Unless I have already and I don't know.
Or powerlifting. You're in one.
No, I hate group activity.
I think that the fact that I call people that don't do powerlifting normies means that I want to call, and I'm already part of one.
You're so deep within, you don't even realize you're in it.
We're in, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Now, this one also is very interesting with the answers we've been receiving so far, and it is, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant, Izzy?
I guess one very vicious chicken.
Oh, one. Good.
Yeah, it could just like get up the trunk and just
Like
wreak
slice
havoc.
your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give a different answer for the sake of it. I'll say 3,000.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's enough to cover the surface area of the elephant and make it bleed to death.
I like that.
In Sweden, a certain time of year, the mosquitoes will kill a deer.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like if we scale it, that's roughly
Do you work how many mozzies to a deer?
yeah, and then you can just scale it up to a chicken to an elephant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Yep. Now, if life was a video game and cheat codes were real, what cheat code would you like, Izzy?
What's the cheat code? I've never played a video game.
Put in like a little code and then you get a little special power.
You get like
walk through walls,
free money, or unlimited strength, unlimited life,
keys,
pretty much anything. Pretty much what do you want in life? And I guess that's the best way.
maybe.
Maybe piggyback to the deep water thing, the swimming, where you can just swim a lot deep underwater.
Breathe underwater.
That's the weirdest thing.
Well, I'll probably overcome my fear because that's what life is about.
Oh,
Back that up, Alex.
Yeah, I'll backpedal on that. That was actually really good. My answer was so boring. I was just going to say just unlimited like food and drink, so you could just always.
You're going to need that to get to 125.
Yeah, on the way to 150.
Yeah.
Now, Izzy, unfortunately, you've been arrested. Nobody knows why, but your family are trying to work out why. What do you think they're thinking?
What they are thinking. God. Am I arrested here in Australia?
Yes.
Probably. I don't know. They probably think I'm like a drug dealer or something.
Alex?
I don't know. I couldn't imagine my mum ever believing that I was. She would just think that I was framed. She would never think it's such a horrible thing about me.
That's the difference between our families.
My mum would go out as like a rogue detective on her own to try and figure out who was framing her son.
Okay, we changed the 10 questions like every 10 episodes. These were the most broad, weirdest questions Johnny picks them all. You guys answered these the best. Out of all.
Yeah, me too. You guys suck at these questions.
If you want to hear someone who really sucked at them, Alex, I think it's
your episode.
Yeah, our bonus episode number 4 is coming out in a couple of weeks or a week. Man, I always be the test dummy, and it's so like
it gets really awkward.
I'm just like, who the fuck thinks of these questions? Guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and like just talking about everything you guys have been through, your journeys to powerlifting. And I stress to anyone listening, if you haven't or if you don't know these guys, please go follow them and listen to what they're actually saying. I just realized I repeated myself as I said that, and I was like, maybe we'll let that fly. But you know what? I'll bring it to attention. Where can people find you?
Instagram. So mine's at Alex Deken, Deken, and then PL.
Mm-hmm. Instagram, Isabella B. Weissenberg, and Isabella at reactivetrainingsystems.com for coaching questions.
Sweet. I'll definitely pop that all in the show notes.
And your podcast.
And your podcast link as well. Thank you, Johnny. I'll make a note so I don't forget. But again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time today, guys. Hopefully once all this bullshit COVID's over, we can come down or you guys come up and we'll train together or something, get it kicking and get you on live again.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
No worries, guys.
Thanks, team.
Stay safe.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.